Welcome to the Gen X Journey podcast. Dive into all things important to Gen Xers, from advice on aging parents, expert interviews, product reviews, and heartfelt conversations. So put down the joystick, grab your Walkman, dust off your old yearbooks, and welcome to the Gen X Journey.
Everybody, welcome back to the Gen X Journey podcast. This is Steve. I'm back with my good friends, Noel and Keith. How's it going, guys?
Very, very good.
Excellent.
Good. Well, we haven't done this in a few weeks, and I feel especially proud that I did that intro in one take. So
that was awesome.
Yeah. Which is rare for any of us to do that. In one
For
take.
any of us, yeah.
Yeah. So today we're going to give a nod to a prior episode where we talked about the memorable scenes from 1980s movies, and we're going to redux that topic into 1990s movies instead. And so we're taking our creative liberties from watchmojo.com and an article they wrote. Gosh, when was this?
I don't even know.
Gosh, no date on it, but hey, anyway, WatchMojo is awesome.
It was written earlier.
Yeah.
Previously written
prior to today. So, it could be a week old article, it could be 10
it could be
years
decades.
Old. Yeah, decades. But anyway, so thought we kick it off. Guys, who wants to go first with this one?
Go ahead, Noel.
Go for it, Keith.
Fine, I'll go.
We couldn't have planned that better.
Oh, I know. So number 10 on this list. And so what we're talking about is just kind of iconic movie moments. And so I thought this one, to kick it off, was kind of appropriate at the number 10 spot, according to this article. And it was the movie Jurassic Park. And the moment that they recognized was the moment where you first heard and sensed that the T-Rex was approaching. And in this scene, you're looking at glass or cups with water in it. And you start seeing, with every footstep, the water kind of vibrate. And every step it gets closer, it vibrates a little bit more and a little bit more. And that is what they decided was an iconic movie moment out of Jurassic Park. And it's funny, I actually saw a behind the scenes kind of making of how they did this. And it came down to the wire because they could not figure out how to get it to work right. And it was basically to the point where they were about to just scrap the whole thing when a guy came in and decided to pluck a guitar string underneath the glass. And so the vibration of the guitar string being plucked is what made the water vibrate the way it did.
That's cool.
Interesting.
It's
Didn't
such
know that.
neat movie moment. So pretty cool. So that's the number 10 idea. So now, Noel, it's your turn. What did we have?
Yeah, so number 9 on the list is the aftershave scene from the movie Home Alone. Do you guys remember that?
Love it.
Yes. So for those that haven't seen Home Alone for whatever reason, Macaulay Culkin is a kid whose family somehow leaves him at home for Christmas. And he is, they went to Paris for Christmas. I've oftentimes sat there and wondered, I've had 2 kids of my own. Of course, I guess he was one of 6 kids or 7 kids or something like that. But still, right. How do you? I guess this is one of those things you just can't overthink a movie. But geez, really?
How do you miss your child?
Yeah, no. Anyway. Back to the movie plot. So he's a home alone, and he's kind of relishing his role as the man of the house. And so part of that is he finishes taking a shower and he slathers on a whole lot of aftershave on his face, and it burns his face, and he screams loud enough to wake the neighbors. And so actually one of the interesting parts about this is that he actually improvised part of that scene.
He did.
Yeah. So he was the movie said he was supposed to, or I guess the what is that thing called? The tells the actors what to do.
Script.
Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, brain fart. Script said he was supposed to put the aftershave on his face and take his hands away really quickly. And Macaulay Culkin decided to keep his hands on his face instead. And that whole scene and the imagery and stuff for that scene with his hands on his face and screaming and everything real loud kind of became pretty iconic scene from a very iconic movie from the 1990s. So that was
great scene.
Number 9. Steve?
Yeah, so the number 8 scene from WatchMojo.com is the dodging bullet scene from the movie Matrix.
Oh,
The
iconic.
Matrix. Yeah,
Yep.
and so it came out in 1999. This was the first film in the series from sisters Lana and Lily Wachowski. Was a game changer for both action and science fiction. So The Matrix grossed more than 465 million worldwide and won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Visual Effects, Best Film Editing. So a very accomplished film. The film earned them with the scene alone, which finds Keanu Reeves. I cannot say this name. Keanu Reeves' character Neo and Carrie-Anne Moss's character Trinity on a rooftop facing down a slew of enemies. When Agent Brown returns fire, Neo desperately tries to dodge the bullets. Brown seems to be able to defeat him anyway until Trinity delivers a truly fatal blow in classic line. Is a moment that never stops being cool, especially not with all the sunglasses involved. So,
right.
So, I remember this very well. I remember it was like, wow, God, that was so cool. I've never seen that before. How did they do that? And then it definitely got a lot of attention from all the movie awards. So.
Definitely is. Definitely.
That was cool.
Scene. Yeah.
That was, 1999. That was, technology, of course, being what it was back then. That was mind blowing. They were able to do it that way. But anyway, very cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Okie
So
dokie.
on the number 7 on this list, it comes from one of my favorite movies of the 90s, bar none. I still think it's one of the best movies of all time, and that's Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And the scene, there's so many iconic scenes in this movie, first and foremost. But to me, I think the best scene in the movie was when he's getting lowered into the molten stuff and he does the thumbs up at the end. So if it was me, that would be the scene. But for them, in this Watch Mojo, they basically highlighted the truck chase scene, and it makes sense. The T1000, the newer model, hijacked a truck. The guy was played by Robert Patrick. He proves just how relentless he was in his mission to dispose of young John Connor, mowing down anything and everything. I mean, this truck, I remember it vividly. Like, it was just like on a mission to destroy everything in its path. And, obviously when it seems like it's all over for John, old Arnie comes in with his T800 self, and he comes there to save him. And, just learning about the use of practical effects to make this actually so realistic is pretty impressive. And I would encourage anybody to go on YouTube and just kind of uncover the truck chase scene on YouTube and understand kind of fully what it took to make that scene. It's just like you say, with all the special effects and stuff, it's just not, things aren't made like this anymore, So pretty cool. So that's the number awesome. 7 is a truck chase scene. So I will turn it over to you next, Noel.
Truck chase scene.
I had to say it, enunciate the right syllable.
You nailed it.
Thanks.
Every bit of that was grammatically correct. Okay, so the number 6 scene is the Copacabana from the movie Goodfellas in 1990. So I got to admit, I've seen Goodfellas maybe 2 or 3 times, but it's been forever. I can't even remember this scene. Do you guys remember this?
I really don't.
I don't.
I don't think I've ever seen this movie fully, and I regret that because I've heard it's a great movie.
Yeah, I agree.
For our listeners, if you've seen this movie scene, we'd love to hear more about it. So no, go ahead. Sorry.
You know what? I think I'm going to substitute number 6 because none of us really even know what this is. The Copacabana scene.
Okay.
I'm going to call an audible, and I'm going to go with the movie Dumb and Dumber.
Oh boy.
The highly esteemed movie that I think got screwed at the Oscars that year. And
really?
the scene that I want to highlight, and I'm going to substitute here on number 6 is the infamous toilet scene.
Oh my gosh.
Where Harry sabotages his friend's date with this girl by loading him up with a whole mess of what is it? Laxatives. Yeah. And he drinks all these laxatives. He doesn't realize that's what he's, drinking and eating and stuff. And then he goes to this girl's house and he has to go to the bathroom and absolutely destroys the toilet. And
I just remember his legs straightening out.
Oh my gosh. And then he has to open up the window and he's trying to like oh my gosh. I lost it in that scene. That movie itself is like a whole episode by itself. There's
Agreed.
a lot of funny one-liners and scenes that are just iconic. And one of my we could go on for a while, but
Oh yeah.
the I'll say this one just because it's on the tip of my tongue, but at the very end, whenever they're on the side of the road, like walking, and this busload of girls like stop and say, "Hey, you guys need a ride, or y'all know where something is, or they need." I'm messing this up, but
Yeah.
anyway, they're too stupid to realize that they could be riding on a bus with all these beautiful women, and instead they like point them down the road at somebody else to go and have. Anyway,
It was a Hawaiian Tropic Girls bus. Or
Hawaiian
something.
Tropic Girls, yeah. Anyway, they so much that movie was just like, oh my gosh,
Every man in that theater had a pain at the end of that. Are you kidding?
Totally. So
Such
good
a
stuff.
great movie.
Anyway, so I'm sorry I called an audible. If
Perfect
Copacabana was
audible.
your favorite scene from Goodfellas, I'm sorry. I apologize, but I just didn't want to read it.
We got
I
it.
don't
We
know
got
it,
the ones
so.
we love, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
Sure.
So Steve, number 5.
You bet. So I've watched this movie countless times, many of them on band trips. But
Yeah.
this is the box of chocolates scene from Forrest Gump, which, was a highly acclaimed movie that came out in 1994 featuring Tom Hanks and a whole slew of others. But so as Watch Mojo mentions, we could fill a whole list with quotes from this film about an ordinary man who has extraordinary experiences, and that's true. But the one that stays with us most is a bit of parental wisdom when a woman sits next to him on a bus bench. Forrest, played by Tom Hanks, offers her a chocolate and shares his mother saying, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to
going to get."
And I can tell you, that feels like my life lately.
Right.
just don't have the chocolate to go with it. But on the surface, it's a small moment, but one that speaks volumes about life and its unpredictability. As the camera slowly zooms in on Forrest, we find ourselves more and more drawn to him and what he has to say. And like a box of chocolates, this film is both delightful and full of surprises. So I thought that was well written by Watch Mojo, very accurate to life as a comparison. So very cool scene from that movie.
Great movie. And so let's talk about those chocolates, right? So does anybody else besides my wife stick toothpicks inside those chocolates just to see what they are before?
Oh.
And so I have an entire box half the time of the ones that she picked that didn't want, that have holes in the bottom, that are mine, apparently.
Keith, I've never heard of anybody doing this. I'm serious, man. That's new. That's new to
Are
me.
you are you kidding?
I'm dead serious.
Like I
never
literally
heard of
have
this.
toothpick. There are no chocolates left unturned. And I know the ones that are left over, the fallout, so if you will, those are mine.
So are any of the remnants some of your favorites, or is it usually your wife gets to the good stuff y'all both like?
Actually, so I like the chocolate based ones, and she's not a chocolate fan with the chocolate inside the chocolate, so I'm okay. But I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of the coconut ones, and so those just kind of accidentally go away. Right. But because she won't eat them and I look at them, I instantly see that they are and they're gone. But yeah, all the rest of them I usually can tolerate pretty good. But it's just so funny. I can tell when it's my turn for the chocolate box by the picked through holes bored into the bottom of every chocolate. And it's beautiful that she does it from the bottom, because when you open the box, it looks like they're perfectly fine. Right.
Yeah. So which brand chocolates are y'all buying?
Those Whitman's,
Whitman's?
Yeah.
So wasn't there a brand that actually had like a little chart, like we lifted up the tray?
Oh yeah.
It had like a diagram of what chocolates were what?
I think so.
Those eliminated the risk and or a need for a toothpick as well.
It did.
But,
yeah. So I know that, I mean, it could be any of it. It could be like the Valentine hearts. It doesn't matter. They're just, if they don't have the little menu, there's bored holes. It's fine. So, okay, I guess apparently I'm the only one that has
Keith,
experienced that.
silky segue to number 4.
There we go.
Because
So let's talk about number 4, and this is from the movie Pulp Fiction, and it's A Tasty Burger. And so, Quentin Tarantino turns a movie dialogue on its head in this scene. When hitmen Jules and Vincent come by an apartment, and they're looking for a briefcase belonging to their boss, Marcellus Wallace, they find the nervous inhabitants enjoying a meal from a fictional fast food restaurant. Do you remember the name of the restaurant?
Jack Rabbit Slims.
It's Big Kahuna Burger.
Big Kahuna Burger.
Big Kahuna Burger. Yeah. So the scene, obviously, one of Samuel L. Jackson's coming out scenes in all of movies for him. His character's name is Jules, and he's starts off seeming affable, but then bursts into one of the greatest and most terrifying monologues in the history of movies. And so, great scene on Pulp Fiction. Did you all like this movie?
I freaking love Pulp Fiction, man. There's so many, there's so many quotable quotes in that movie, man.
I was thinking when they talked about the burger, I was thinking about the whole dialogue about the Royale with cheese, and all
cheese.
that. Yeah, what did they call it?
Powder with cheese? No, man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what a quarter pounder is. What do they call it? They call it Royale with cheese. What do they call a Big Mac? Well, a Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it La Big Mac.
Yeah, La Big Mac.
What they call a Whopper? I don't know. I didn't go to Burger King.
It's funny. The first time I went to Europe, I went into McDonald's just to see if he was right. And sure enough, Royale with cheese.
I remember our mutual Scott, he had a date and he was asking me for a movie recommendation. I said, you got to watch Pulp Fiction, man. It's amazing. And then a couple days went by and I said, hey man, how'd you like Pulp Fiction? He was like, we did not know what the hell was going on. 2 minutes. He's like, we turned it off and watched TV. We got what the hell was that?
It's an acquired taste.
It is. So every time I've told other people about it, I'm and I kind of I give them a run up to it, I'm preparing them for what they're about to get into, because it's different for sure. But
no doubt.
Boy, it's a creative movie. So, anyway,
for sure, no question about it. Good flick.
Yep.
Sure. But you have to be in the mood. I think you have to be in the mood to enjoy it, in my opinion.
That's true.
But it's interesting though.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino hits different than any other director. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie without even knowing it's a Quentin. If you didn't know when you started watching the movie, it was shortly after you start watching. This has got a Tarantino feel to it.
Oh, no doubt. That's funny. All right. Anyway. What do you think, Steve? What's next?
Well, this one's Noel.
Oh, is it Noel? That's right. I just did this one. My bad.
Yeah. Speaking of movies that you need to be in a mood to watch, I think this next one on the list is without a doubt one of those movies that it hits big time. This is the Omaha beach scene from Saving Private Ryan, and it's one of those moments, one of those movies, and certainly one of those scenes that you remember. I remember the theater that I was sitting in when I watched this for the first time, and just sitting there kind of dumbfounded that actually happened. Mm-hmm. And then also knew too, going into it, hearing the comments from the veterans that were there, how realistic that was. That just realizing that what I was watching obviously wasn't the real thing, but it was the closest thing to it that we would ever be able to witness ourselves, and just really kind of having this holy cow, I had no idea that it was anything even remotely like that. But what a scene.
Amazing.
It really is. But in the sequence, in the Omaha beach sequence, director Steven Spielberg makes you feel like you're experiencing June 6, 1944, otherwise known as D-Day, yourself, with every sound and image searing into your brain. The bloody chaos of the day is shown with unflinching, heart-stopping clarity. The scene was so intense that many veterans found it unwatchable. So few films have captured the unimaginable horrors of war quite like this one. And that was so accurate. But anyway, that was number 3 on the list. And I think it's one that, like I said, there's very few movies I can remember, details about me being there and
Yes.
the whole scene, but that was definitely one of them. So
That's I remember there was even an 800 number set up if veterans needed to call somebody
Wow.
because if they were traumatized from watching it. So
Mm.
pretty intense,
Yeah, that
intense.
was thoughtful. I remember Keith and I went and saw this movie together.
Yeah.
And
we were living in Houston at the time. Noel couldn't make it. He was probably doing collateral damage from his wife or something Steve and I probably did. So
there's a high probability that's not. This is 1998. This was my second year. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Mostly Keith's fault.
It was. Let's be honest.
I was really sad to see you guys move out of Houston. I don't think she was though.
Yeah. There was a big when she
get to be married.
Anyway, sorry, Steve. Didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to say?
Yeah, no, but I just remember, when the movie was over, I think amongst others, Keith and I, we just sat in that theater for a little while, just sort of recovering from just the feeling that that movie left you with, and it was refreshing. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was interesting to hear veterans say what you said, Noel, that it was very much accurate. It was in some cases horribly accurate, and but I appreciate the fact that Spielberg made that as authentic as possible, and he could have made it for movie screen and amplified it or whatever, but he truly respected that moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was very sobering to witness that.
Yeah,
there's not many movies that I sit in a theater and process after it. With knowing not necessarily maybe just understanding that I just watched one of those movies that's going to be historic, like like the day that I saw The Empire Strikes Back. Like I remember thinking after that movie, this is going to change things, and I was just a kid at that time. But I'm just saying there's a few, like Jurassic Park. I remember going, the way they just did graphics is going to change the way movies are made, and just this is another one of those going, there's going to be something super historic here that we're just witnessing. Pretty impressive,
Yeah.
Not to the impact historically of Dumb and Dumber, but up there.
No, I mean, nothing transcends the silver screen quite like Dumb and Dumber.
No way.
No, I still say they got screwed in the Oscars that
year. I completely agree.
Anyway, man, I wish they would have if they had an Oscars that was like where the common man got to pick the winners. It wouldn't be called Oscars. It'd be called like the Billies or something. You know, like. God, I wish somebody would just create that. Like Elon Musk, that should be his next project, because can you imagine some of the movies that would get like awards from like regular people instead of these people that pick who wins Oscars and crap? But anyway.
No doubt. All right. What you got, Steve?
So number 2 is the scene from The Sixth Sense, a 1999 film. The scene was the I See Dead People scene.
Oh yeah.
So as Watch Mojo mentions, if you want to get someone who hasn't seen The Sixth Sense to watch it, show them this scene.
Oh yeah.
And it is a quick attention grabber, but so as reflect back to the movie. So when speaking to child psychologist Malcolm Crowe, Cole Sear, who was played by Haley Joel Osment, shares a very deep, dark secret. He sees ghosts walking among the living, unaware of their deceased status. Osment's delivery of this line completely sells Cole's combined innocence and precociousness, and Bruce Willis's attentive focus and concern makes him an ideal mentor for this frightened child. So I remember just sort of being like, I don't know, not terrified, but I could feel like the chills during this scene, and they deliver that so well. So it's
agreed.
Great scene. I don't know if I put that at number 2 though, by the way.
You would? Yeah.
No, maybe.
Well, I tell you that the whole movie, it's so funny when you go back and watch this movie again, how obvious it was that because they're talking about I See Dead People and they're zooming in on Bruce Willis's face. It's so funny that the entire world missed how obvious this was, that they were drawing attention to Bruce Willis actually being dead. Nobody got it. It was brilliant, brilliant storytelling. And now you go back to it and you see all of these hints and you're like, how did I miss that? That's crazy, you know. But just to, you know, there's probably not maybe younger generation hasn't seen it yet. It's just such a cool movie to introduce to somebody, like I said, Steve, for the first time, just to watch their expression of what, you know, pretty crazy. So, Before I get to number one, I figured let's, if you have one, let's go around. I'm going to do an honorable mention. And do y'all have one that you might be able to do an honorable mention with? Okay.
I can.
So there's a bunch of movies that came out this year, and I will tell you one of my, there's a couple I'm thinking about. So I'm just going to throw out one of them. And one of my favorite ones of all time is The Lion King. And I think the Hakuna Matata scene, I don't think anybody doesn't know what Hakuna Matata is now in the world. Right. And just to have this scene where you watch this, it's just an amazing animated movie. And it just watching this lion go from a cub to a lion as they're talking about not worrying, but just knowing the weight of what he has on the what's to come. It's just one of my favorite things. I just love it so much. And so I think for me, an honorable mention would be Lion King. There's a lot of different things in here too, but I think Hakuna Matata is what does it for me. What about you guys? You have any honorable mention?
Go for it, Noel.
I had one, and then I just looked it up, and it was made in 1989.
Oh no, we can round up.
Okay, it's movie Major League.
Oh, totally 90s. I saw it in 90. So
yeah, I saw it like 100,000 times in the 90s. So to me, this is a 90s movie. But
it's a 90s movie.
Yeah, one of the funniest scenes. I mean, if we have to pick out a scene to kind of follow with the theme of the show tonight, is there's a bunch of them, but when they're in the locker room and Harris is like, he's he messes with Joe Boo's rum, and he's like, he walks out on the field, is like, hey bartender, Joe Boo needs a refill. Then he gets hit in the head with a bat and stuff. But
That's awesome.
And then the other one, he's like, you trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
That's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. That whole movie is just iconic, and I like I said, I've probably seen it 1,000 times. But anyway,
so great. Yeah, one Steve
movie.
Got honorable mention.
So I'm digging over here because just like Noel, like I was jumping. Like first one was like Rain Man,
right?
And then I was like, God, that's 1988. But I was trying to find my favorite scene from Coming to America, 1989.
Oh, of course.
And so was Nutty Professor in the 90s? It was.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
They cleaned my colon.
Hercules.
Yes.
I don't need to go to colon cleanser. I'll clean my colon right now.
Who's that call my name? Yeah, I called her name. We digress.
That's awesome.
That's a good
number
one.
one on the list, Noel.
No, I think this is Keith. This is yours, right?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, whoever we so probably arguably the biggest without question movie of the 1990s was the movie Titanic. So many different reasons. A great historical value, had romance for the women's side of things, had the drama and history for the guys, right? It had a little bit of everything, but the scene in question here is the most iconic movie scene of the 1990s is the scene where Jack Dawson, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, looks out at the wonders of nature from the bow of the famous Titanic ship with his friend Fabrizio. And he lets out his legendary exclamation, "I'm the king of the world." And like many classic movie moments, this one actually almost didn't make it into the film. Director James Cameron came up with it on set. And despite star Leonardo DiCaprio's reluctance, Cameron insisted. But we sense no reluctance in DiCaprio's delivery, only a young man relishing the absolute bliss and excitement of the present moment. So interesting that something that everybody has seen as King of the World of Titanic almost didn't make it. It was just a last minute audible. So pretty cool. But yeah, great movie. Another one of those that, it's one of those, it's a long movie. You got to be prepared to sit through it, but I'll tell you, whenever it's on TV, I'm flipping through the channels. I'm doing a little pause to watch some of it every time.
Yeah.
Good show. So
it is a good movie.
Yeah.
Linda reminds me of when we were in the theater watching this, and I mean, of course, it's a long movie. It's somber. Everybody dies. If you haven't seen it, and at the very end of it, you know, it was somber and quiet and everything. And I turned to Linda and I said, I didn't think I said it this loud. She says I said it really loud, but I turned to her and I said, well, there won't be a sequel to that one. And she hit me like the hardest she's ever hit me. And people around me, I got the dirtiest looks, man, like daggers from everybody around me. It's one of those, like, I wanted to like sneak out of the theater. Everybody was like, what the hell? Why did you say, you know,
That
anyway.
is awesome. Oh my gosh.
That is classic.
Truly, it sounds like something Steve would say, if I'm being honest.
I will never be
That's
inappropriate
awesome.
like that ever.
Oh my gosh. That's good stuff.
Anyway, yep.
Hey, good rundown of 90s best movie moments, fellas. Really enjoyed that. We'd love to hear from our listeners. Is there a 90s movie moment that sticks out into your mind? I mean, we've talked about some. Sleepless in Seattle comes to mind.
Yeah.
You know, When Harry Met Sally. There's a lot of really neat, iconic movie moments of the 80s and the 90s. So what are some of your favorite moments that stick out to you? We'd love to hear it in the comments and in our social media pages. So share away. And we've got some other neat material coming, some more history, a couple of nice little things that we're going to talk about with the holidays coming up that will go down some memory lanes there as well. So I'm looking forward to what's to come in the coming weeks.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. Enjoyed it, fellas. Good walk down memory lane and highlighting some of the iconic scenes from some of the best movies of the 90s. And our thanks to the watchmojo.com for putting together this list. And sorry that we kind of added some and ad-libbed a few into it, but you know what? That's just the way it goes.
It's a spice. It's a spice on the meat of life.
Spicy meatball. Anyway, it's all good stuff. Enjoyed it, fellas.
Thanks a lot.
As usual. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the Gen X Journey podcast belong solely to the hosts and guests and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of any entity they are associated with. The information provided is for entertainment and informational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of qualified professionals for any specific issues they may face. The creators and contributors of this podcast make no representations as to the accuracy, completeness, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its use.